She also has more technical fouls with 3 than the Indiana Fever has wins right now, with two, which is very, very bad, by the way. But understandable, because if you're losing that much, it stands to reason that you're a high-end competitor like she is, you're going to get called for some technical fouls. She struggled with physical defense she's faced at the professional level and voiced frustration with the league's officiating, recently telling reporters, quote, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me, and opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with." That's what Caitlin Clark said. That is what she said, okay? But to me, it's a bigger issue going on. And when this happened and that girl, Kennedy Carter, pushed her in the back like that, it was a cheap shot. It was not a basketball play. She should have been ejected, number one. Number two, there should have been a fine that was incurred thereafter. Number three, not to say that there won't be, or hasn't been at this moment in time, I don't know of one. I know the team was fined for media availability purposes because people weren't available to talk. I know Angel Reese was also going to be fined because she didn't make herself available for the media as well. And I get all of that as well. We understand it. We see it for what it is. It is what it is. I'm saying this. It's important that we point this out. One of the things that I brought up this morning in talking about Caitlin Clark is that some of the players, you want to use the word jealousy, fine. You want to use the word envy, fine. You want to use the word resentment. We want to play with words. That's cool. It's something. And I think that some of the ladies, not all, but some of the ladies in the WNBA are missing the point. And the point is, this girl right here is a box office attraction. And because of her box office attraction, it's generating more eyeballs to the WNBA product, therefore more revenue for the WNBA product. Don't you think y'all are going to benefit from that too? Look at the big picture.
Rent a furnished, private room with utilities and Wi-Fi for less than $150 a week with Pad Split. We already have more than 8,000 dedicated members. Just look at some of our member reviews. Ready to join? Fill out an application in less than 10 minutes, get approved in 24 hours, and be in your new home in 48 hours.
Futures trading is here. Discover an easy-to-use trading app with cutting-edge tech and professional support. Trade futures with plus 500 futures, Forex, energy, metal, micro, and more. Start with as little as $100 or try out our free demo account. Your future is in your hands. Trading in futures and options carries substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for every investor.
That's what I was talking about when I was talking about it this morning on my day job, First Take on ESPN, every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. A rising tide raises all boats. If Caitlin Clark is the quote-unquote savior, if she's the golden girl, milk it. Now, it's just an opinion, albeit I believe an educated one. But this girl that comes away from college, comes out of college, who happens to be white, who's already making buku dollars. The maximum salary in the WNBA is $250,000. If I remember correctly, Caitlin Clark signed a $28 million endorsement deal. Well, nobody in the WNBA getting that. Nobody's gotten that yet but her. Asia Wilson is the superstar in the NBA, in the WNBA. She's a 2-time champion. This girl is legit. She's the real deal. And those kind of endorsements and all of that stuff ain't come her way, even though some has come away. Flaja Johnson out of LSU is going to get her bag. She already got NIL deals. She's also a hip-hop artist. We're seeing women get shine. We're seeing their shine elevate. It's deserving. It's long overdue. But the fact is, it's long overdue.
I don't think it's long overdue. I don't think it's long overdue. They don't just get money because they feel like they're good at it. Bricklayers aren't getting paid more, and people who work the pipelines, people who are good at, at regular jobs, they aren't just getting paid more just because it's due to them. It has to be earned. This is a entertainment. If you are not watching you, if people are not attracted to your entertainment, it is what it is. You don't just deserve it and it's long overdue because you're good at something. Like, I wish the world worked that way. That, because you played all your life and this is your dream and now you're really good at it. If no one's watching, who cares? That's the difference. They keep saying that women have, you should have been talking about the WNBA. You should have been. Why? Nobody's been watching and nobody's cared. There's a reason why. And nobody wants to call it out. Nobody wants to say that. They just say because they're women and because they play good basketball, which no one agrees with that. Okay, no one agrees these games are good. And people would rather watch the NBA, even women. Okay, so they're good. For girls, this is what most people are thinking. This is the quiet part they won't say aloud. And someone think it's due to them. No. So they have to catch, like he said, their golden goose while they can, while people are having eyeballs on them, while people are watching them, while people are interested in them. But they're trying to take her out. And you know what's going to happen if she ends up not being in it? People are just going to fade away and not be interested in the struggle. Okay? Because the team she's on is so terrible. So I don't get this, that they're owed something. It goes to these feminist talking points because they're women. Like, that doesn't make any sense. If that was the case, all of us who are good at something should be making more. We're due it. Our bosses owe that to us because we're good at it. But the world is not fair like that, especially if you're something that's disposable, such as a sport and an entertainment in a sport. And on top of that, a sport that's boring or a sport that people don't care about. Like, that's your problem. You chose to do that.
And because it's long overdue, it begs the question, why the hell didn't it arrive earlier? Because you didn't have Caitlin Clark earlier. Now, what's the difference between her and a Diana Taurasi or a Sue Bird or Brianna Stewart or somebody else or UNESCO or somebody? Y'all talk about that. The fact of the matter is, the kind of stuff that's happening and has been happening over the last few months is because of Caitlin Clark. I got some of the stats in front of me to validate it. Because you see, I bring receipts. And I'll get to why I'm really pissed off in a few minutes. WNBA Draft 2024 drew 2.446 million viewers to ESPN on Monday night, making it the most watched draft in WNBA history. Who's the number one overall pick? Hi, Aaron. Who's the number one overall pick? Say it louder. Caitlin Clark, the number one overall pick. This is coincidence, huh? It's just coincidence, huh? Of course it's not. Highest rated draft in history because of Caitlin Clark. WNBA TV ratings for this season. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know it skyrocketed? ABC announced it had its most viewed opening weekend doubleheader ever, with 2 games combined to average 1.5 million viewers. That marks a 143% increase from a WNBA doubleheader on ABC a year ago. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that? Well, you know it now. Last stat, just to throw this out there. Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever has been involved in 3, now mind you, the same Indiana team that started out 1-7. The same Indiana team that lost their first 3 of their 4 games of the season. The same Indiana Fever that has the second worst record in WNBA basketball right now. The only team worse than them in the entire league is the Washington Mystics, who are winless in 8 games. The second worst team in the league is the Indiana Fever, led by Caitlin Clark. Did you know that the Fever has been involved in 3 of the 4 TV games that have garnered 1.3 million average viewers this season? Entering this past weekend. These are the most watched WNBA games, are you ready for this? In over 2 decades. The Indiana Fever, two. Walking. It ain't New York City, ain't LA, ain't Chicago. It's not the Skies, not the Liberties, not the Sparks. We're talking about the Indiana Fever, led by a girl that was playing at Iowa, is producing The most watched WNBA games in over 2 decades. What does that tell you? That tells you that before Caitlin Clark came along, it wasn't nearly as popular. It doesn't mean it wasn't growing in popularity over the last 2 to 3 years. But 3 years ago, WNBA was an afterthought. A little bit less than that, there were thoughts of this team being defunct and going away. Nobody cared. And I don't mean that literally. I mean by and large. And I'm going to say something that was very unpopular. And
No, it's literally nobody cared.
it'll be unpopular now, but I don't give a damn. Because it's a fact. We're the ladies. The sport, I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about in the past when it wasn't as popular. The men have their sports. Do you know why men's sports became exponentially more popular? Because of women. It was more women watching NBA games. It was more women watching NFL games. That's how it became more popular. Well, ladies, if you help the NFL get more popular, you help the NBA get more popular, how come you didn't help the WNBA get more popular until recently? You did that. The men are the men. But the women rule. When women support you, you win. Everything shows that. It happens in sports. It happens in business. It happens in television. When women watching you, when women are listening to you, you win. Every superstar you could possibly fathom got it good with the ladies. The ladies support them. I don't care who you pick. Pick a superstar. Pick a mega superstar and tell me where they're lacking female support. 25 to 54 demographic, 18 to 34 demographic. The list goes on and on. When the women support you, you win. You even win elections. You don't win elections because the men support you. For the most part, for what I've been told, you win it when the women come out and support you. Women know this. So why was the WNBA not popular all of these years? So when I go on national television and I bring up jealousy, envy, resentment, or whatever, I'm not saying it's not justified. If you are a WNBA player and you resent Caitlin Clark, it makes perfect sense. Because she's white and she's the golden girl that's considered the marketing savior for the sport. Yes, they were talking about chartered flights before she ever came along and opened her mouth. But shortly after Caitlin Clark opened her mouth, you had chartered flights. And you ain't have it in 2 decades. She's got that kind of influence, that kind of power. I wasn't trying to say that women, black, white, and everything in between associated with the WNBA was wrong and shouldn't feel resentment after all that hard work you put in to pound the pavement and to be the great players that you are and the great basketball ambassadors that you are. What you've done for this sport, of course you should feel resentful. Of course you should. What I'm saying is don't be blind.
And what I'm saying is grow up and put on your big girl panties. Like, honestly, like, are they children? Listen, it's okay to be resentful. You really worked hard, and it's not your fault. And blah, blah. Like, what? Like, it's asinine that you have to treat women as children, and we know that you're resentful, and it's not fair that she came after you, and yes, she's white. Like, honestly, but what he said there. Bill Maher, I did a reaction probably 2 years ago on Bill Burr, talking about the WNBA, and it's women who do not support the WNBA. It's women who do not support WNBA or women's sports. It's women. I have been saying this for over a year now. It's women actually 2 years, because I did that 2 years ago. But this year alone, I've produced so many videos talking about this. They want to say men and misogyny and the patriarchy and how come there's no support? How come there's no support? Why aren't you down women's throats? Why are you telling them don't watch Real Housewives, don't watch Bad Girls Club, don't watch Bachelorette, and all these other things? Why aren't you going in on them? On the women who choose not to watch you. Instead, they blame men. Men, if it's not, men either they're sexualizing us or it's misogyny and it's a boys' club and it's not fair. They want the boys checked. They want the NBA to subsidize their welfare behinds. But they're afraid to, a lot of these woke Jamel Hill, race baiting crazies. They don't want to call it for what it is. How come the WNBA hasn't gotten this support before? Well, ask women. Look in the mirror. Talk to other women and ask them why. Stop blaming men. You don't want to hear anything from men. Men can't even speak freely about how trash you are and why women are not attracted to you. We don't want to watch butch lumberjacks running around. And in this bravado and all this other stuff that they're doing and talking trash, women are not attracted to that type of aggressiveness in other women. Sure, if you're into lowbrow trash like baddies and all of that, but if you want to attract a larger audience who's going to watch sports, we don't want to see that. We want to see women working together. Of course, there could be some things that go on, but they need to understand they have a branding issue with women, and they need to stop blaming men. And they honestly need to grow up. I'm sorry if you feel resentful. Okay, all of us have disappointments and other people who have achieved more than us. It is what it is. What are you going to do about it? Just keep hating until there's nothing left? Destroy your sport even more when you have this great opportunity? Of course they are, because they don't care. They're petty. And it's the mean girl syndrome. This is why women cannot work together.
There's an opening. Exploit it. Rather than be resentful, envious, jealous, whatever word is applicable. Notice the opening. Caitlin Clark is bringing more attention. When you get on the court with her and you perform, and somehow, some way, you'll find a way to attach yourself to that level of magnetism that she surely has. Who knows what could be out there for you? And if suddenly the maximum salary goes from $250,000 to $450,000, and suddenly you're on charter jets instead of commercial flights, and suddenly you're maximizing the potential of your name, image, and likeness, what do you care? At the end of the day, the rising tide lifts all boats. And I'm able to get personal about it. How many times did I tell y'all when ESPN signed Pat McAfee, nobody was happier than me? Shannon Sharp did, and he getting his shine. Nobody's happier than me. Ryan Clark got a new deal. Nobody's happier than me. Troy Aikman got a deal. Joe Buck got a deal. Kirk Herbstreit got a deal. Tom Brady got a deal. Tony Romo got his deal. Because they're setting the market. Why do you think I've had the smile on my face all of these months?
Because this is the thing that you don't understand female nature. Female nature is constantly, females we don't work well in teams. Women have to be the number one. You know, if you even, my good friend Kevin Samuels would talk about, if you watch it, I think it was Bear Grill or Bear's Island, one of the Survivor, when the women had to work together, it was like, well, no, my idea, and men just started delegating tasks and working together. There's a natural camaraderie around men. There's a natural teamwork mentality around men. This is why they get things done. This is why men build the world, why they build infrastructure, why they work on the things to build society. Okay? They are able to work together even if they hate each other. For some reason, women are petty, bitter, jealous, catty, nasty to one another. You cannot have another girl be the it girl and outshine you. Women don't work that way for the most part. Is it all women? No. But it is in female nature, inherently in the psychology of women, to want to outdo the next female. They cannot stand another female who's a leader. Even though they say it's men that hate women, it's men that keep women back. Women work together. Women always do. What? Have you ever had a female boss? It's one of the worst things ever. The cliques that form at work. Who is it? It's not men forming cliques, it's women. The cattiness, the catty shows, the reality shows, all of that fighting, who is it? Women. Why? And then what do women want to watch? Other women fighting each other. This is what women are drawn to. Why do women fight each other on television and all into this gossip and cliquey type of stuff? And why do women watch it and it dominates the ratings? You need to ask yourself why, because that is psychology. That is female nature, and this is why female sports will not elevate. When you have something like tennis, when it's just one person, that works. When it comes to team sports, it just doesn't, and this is the reason why. We just need to call it for what it is.
Because I believe it's my turn. Has nothing to do with Disney. Has nothing to do with ESPN. It has everything to do with the industry. If I'm an NBA player and I've just won a championship and somebody who didn't win gets $50 million a year doing what I do, what do you think I'm going to think I'm worth? See how simple it is? It's capitalism. It's marketability. It's taking advantage of the moment. That's business. Why be resentful of any of them? I throw out names like the McAfees and the Aikmans and all of these folks, even the Joe Rogans of the world and everybody else. I couldn't be more thankful. You're setting the market. That's business. What is wrong with people? How do you not see that? You didn't hurt Caitlin Clark. You didn't chop at her knees or anything like that, Kennedy Carter. So that's cool. It was a Bush League play. It wasn't a basketball play and all of this other stuff. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying is, for you, because I saw reports that you called her the B word before you shoved her in the side, hip checked her. But before, just in case resentment, jealousy, envy, or whatever it is applicable, because I don't know which one it is. Just in case. All I'm saying is, hold up, ladies. There's an opportunity here. Go for it. Let that girl shine. I'm not talking about on the court. You compete against her, try to take her out. Try to beat her. I get that part. But I'm talking about let that girl shine marketing-wise. Let her get her bag.
To the Indiana Fever.
Sorry, guys. I just went back on there because it was the end of it. But listen, I know he's trying to implore women to do this, but it's just not female nature. This is why female sports will never pick up. You will see it when they have individual things, gymnastics, again, tennis, things like that, where it's individual competition. But when it comes to working together, it is not attractive. They just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to have a superstars and let someone shine. It's just not female nature. And if, again, anybody who disagrees with me, look at what is promoted on TV for women to watch. And look at what women watch, which gets these ratings. Look at the gossip shows and all these other things. There is an inherent cattiness to it. And this is what you're seeing in the players. And at the same time, the reason why it's not working, the cattiness won't work for the WNBA, is because they're overall too masculine. They don't really have a brand that is appealing to women. And now I see they're trying to over-sexualize themselves with these terrible outfits coming out. It just looks like, I mean, they'll say, respect me, and women's sport is just the same, and you shouldn't sexualize us. And then they come out looking like $20 hookers, looking for around, looking to give you some around the world. So then men can't really respect them in that way. So they really someone needs to have a come to Jesus moment with these players and whoever is branding WNBA, because it's not working and it's going to continue to not work. And especially what they're doing to Caitlin Clark, they're just shooting themselves in the foot further. But guys, leave a comment. This is a long video. If you're still here, I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.
Dr. Umar, man, happy to have you back on the platform, my guy.
made over 6 figures trading without even looking at the charts, without spending hours glued to the screen.
On tonight's podcast, we're talking about holding your trades longer, which in turn means making more money. And that's what we want. We want to make more money. We want to hold those winners longer. We want to capitalize on those big moves. So how do we do it? Let's get into it. So, how can we hold our trades a little bit longer? We got to start with identifying a trade, identifying the setup. What are we looking for? If we need to hold our trades a little bit longer, we need to know when to get in before we even consider, letting the trade play out for its entirety. Let's actually talk about the entry. I know there's a lot of strategies out there, so there could be a million reasons why to get into a trade or why your strategy is telling you to enter or what an A+ setup looks like. But we got to make sure that we're truly looking for those A+ setups. Everyone talks about it. It almost should be redundant at this point. Everyone, if you're going to be a profitable trader, you got to wait for the A+ setups. And everyone's probably like, okay, I'm waiting for the A+ setups. Is there more to it? What else do I need? And there is more. So there's so many things that come into play with, we want to make more money. Yes, we want to do that. Everybody wants to do that. Who does not? Especially in the trading world. How cool that we picked a niche that is about money. It's the act of making money that's about money itself. We can talk about that one later. Okay, so if we can get in at the optimum time to get into a trade, whatever setup you have with your strategy is telling you to get into a trade, we have to make sure that we can take that optimum signal. So let me give you guys an example. Let's say that the price of platinum is retracing. We've been on a crazy move up. Let's see if we can get some retracement. If we can catch that first initial setup, the money maker, the one, if we can catch that first setup for this big reversal, we are going to be more confident and be able to capitalize on the most amount of money if we can get in on that first initial setup. Now, obviously, if we are, moving into this new trend, maybe we're in a downward trend now with platinum, there's going to be multiple opportunities to get in. Yes, absolutely. But if we're working on holding our profits longer and holding our trades longer, we're talking about getting in at the optimum time, the optimum entry. And the reason this is so important is, let's say that we are trying to catch a change of a trend or a reversal or this new move. The sooner we can get in, the longer we can hold this trade, the more profit we can capitalize on. So if we are just simply thinking bullish and bearish moves and which one is the trend and which one is it going to follow along for a longer amount of time, and if we can get in on that reversal as soon as possible, the first signal, the first optimum A+ signal that we get, this is going to help us truly stay in that trade for its entirety. So regardless of what time frame you're trading, we're still looking for the big moves. We're still looking for these new trends, and we're looking to get in on them as soon as possible. And then we're looking to, once that trend is over and we get a reversal in the opposite direction, we're trying to get into that as well. I can't stress this enough. Getting into the first initial position, that first initial entry is crucial. The optimum time, and I can't say it, any other way. It's optimum. We're looking for the one, that first initial move. Now, you're probably going to get a lot of fake outs, and this just comes with, getting to know your instrument a little bit better. You're probably going to be getting a lot of fake out, and that's normal. That happens. You will develop a relationship with the instrument that you're trading so that you can put some things into place for, if you're trading an instrument like oil, maybe, for example, and you get a lot of fake outs, you can put some things into place that will help you avoid those, or will help you, minimize the risk whenever you do get into a position like that, or you get into a fake out. Or maybe you'll try to avoid it altogether. Maybe you're waiting for candles to close. Maybe you're waiting for retests. So some things that we can do to help us hold our profits longer starts with the entry, getting in at the optimum time. That first initial setup that we get on whatever reversal we're in, that first one, that's going to help us stay in for the entirety of this trade. We get the most amount of confidence because we got the earliest entry. We can talk about my accelerator, where I tell students, the optimum time to get in is when there is a break of a trend, and especially when the trend line holds a lot of weight. Maybe it's got a lot of data behind it, a lot of touch points, and then waiting for the break of that helps us get into those optimum times a lot sooner. We're simply putting ourselves in position every single time for the reversal to get the best optimum entry. Now let's talk about the actual holding of the trade a little bit longer. So if we can get that excellent entry, now we're not going to get those excellent entries every time. And sometimes those entries are fake outs and they're not actually the entry for the big move. But if we can at least put ourselves in position to be ready for the big move every time,
that is how I've made it. That's how I've made it in trading. And that's how I teach my trading. I simply am just trying to help you guys get in position for the big moves every time. Now, obviously, we have things in place. We've got our fire extinguishers, we've got our flour, we've got our hoods. In case worst case scenario happens and there's a fire, aka we're losing our money, we have stop losses in place. We have everything in place for if this isn't the big move. If this isn't the one, then we're simply paying our fee, we're taking our loss. But we put ourselves in position for the big moves every time, and it's the coolest freaking thing ever. Because when it is the move, we were the first ones in. Like, how cool? Anyways, so let's talk about now how we can reap the benefits of actually holding. We'll say we've done the first thing. We've done what we needed to do, take the optimal entry. And we did. Now, how do we hold that trade for its entirety? How do we know how long this move is going to happen for? Now, depending on what time frame you're in, it could be the 5-minute time frame, it could be the 4-hour time frame, it could be the 1-hour time frame. This, I guess, will only apply to my specific strategy, but I'm sure you guys could probably kind of plug and play here with your own strategies. But if I'm in the 5-minute time frame, I'm drawing my trend lines on the 5-minute. Or if I'm in the 1-hour, I'm drawing my trend lines in the 1-hour. If I'm in the 4-hour, I'm drawing my trend lines in the 4-hour. And I'm trying to stay in that position for the entirety of the trend. As long as price follows along that trend line or follows along that direction, follows along that trend, I'm staying in. Now, that is so much easier said than done. That is so much easier said than done. I have struggled with that for most of this year. Now, there are many reasons why. I'm playing with bigger position sizes now. Now I have the capital to do so, but it's kind of exposure therapy. I'm seeing these bigger numbers that I'm not used to, and I'm more inclined to take the money, take it off the table, instead of actually let the trade play out, which if I could even do that, even my own trading would be insane this year. So just imagine if you could apply the same thing to your strategy or to your trading. So if we could stay in the trade for its entirety. So let's say we've already mastered the entry. We've put ourselves in position for the big move. We got it. Cool. That's best case scenario. Now, how do we stay in? Now, these are some things that I have done to help me stay in these trades a little bit longer. But the first thing, you guys, is just a matter of practicing. Why does that sound so vague? It is practicing holding your profits a little bit longer. Maybe you're comfortable with $500. Maybe you're comfortable with $100. Let's say that you got into a trade and you got the perfect entry, the most optimum entry you could get, and then you'd be happy with $100. Let's say that $100 rolls around. You are up $100, the price is still continuing in your direction, and you're usually inclined to taking that $100. But let's just practice waiting for 110, 120, 150. Then let's take it off the table. Let's at least kind of get used to seeing those bigger numbers. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Now, it's taken me years to do that. I used to be happy with $100 trades. Absolutely. I used to be happy with $500 trades. Absolutely. Then I used to be happy with $1,000 trades. Those $1,000 trades, I was happy for those for a long time. When I got those, I was like, oh my God, yes, take it off the table. Amazing. $1,000, yes. Now I'm trying to hold for $30,000. Oh, I can't wait until I hit my $50,000 trade. It's going to be insane. And the craziest part is this year, I had the opportunity to be in trades like that, but here's the thing. I was happy with 30. I took it off the table. Whereas if I could have just held that trade for its entirety, well, I would have hit that goal by now. But that's neither here nor there. You're used to $100. Let's hold for 120. You're used to $1,000. Let's hold to 1,500. But if you're used to those dollar amounts, let's just hold for a little bit more each time, a little bit more. You'll start to get more comfortable with those bigger numbers. Now, the next thing, if you find yourself looking at the dollar amounts and making your decisions on trading based on the dollar amounts, why don't we just take the dollar amounts away? Now, obviously, this too is easier said than done, and I've been doing this for so long that even if I change the dollar amounts to ticks or percentages or pips or shares, I can still calculate the amount that I'm up. I think it's best to, if you're someone like me who does that as well, let's just take the position tool off, or let's just take the open position off the screen so that you can just see an arrow of your entry. Now, obviously, you've calculated your risk beforehand, disclaimer. Let's go ahead and just take our open profit and loss off the table, off the charts, whether that be percentages or ticks or dollar amounts. Let's just take it all off the table. Let's simply look at the trade for what it is. The arrow, the entry, whatever symbol you're going to get when you place that trade, let's leave that there. No dollar amounts are involved. Now let's simply just wait for the trade to play out, and then when you get that signal to take your profits and to close your position, which mine will usually be when price is no longer trending in that direction, all right, then we take our profits. Yes, that's easier said than done, and maybe we can just start with simply changing it to ticks or changing it to percentages. Try try that first. And then if that's still not working for you, let's just remove it altogether. That's been the best case scenario for me. So that every time I open up my charts or every time I open up my trade, I see my entry and I see where the price is at right now. And it's not telling me to close my trade, so I'm good. Okay, and the last thing is having trust in the strategy. If you have decided to commit to a strategy, which I believe is absolutely necessary, you have got to commit to a strategy. This strategy hopping thing, guys, has got to quit. It's an epidemic. Is that even the correct vocabulary? It is the epitome of traders who cannot make it because they strategy hop. If I could just urge you to do one thing outside of even holding your profits longer, please commit to a strategy. Commit! Guys, this is not a relationship video, but if you guys could commit to a strategy and have full faith in it, that's going to help you. It's so easy to stay into a trade that you have full faith or full confidence in the strategy. It's so easy. You're like, yes, I know when the strategy tells me to enter, and I know when it tells me to exit. That right there alone in itself will help you stay in trades much longer. The confidence in the strategy. Now everyone gets a little bit freaked out. They're like, I'm not sure. There's many things that could come into